I'm Kahja Elliott, and I'm a food enthusiast. Bronx born and raised, ATL made, Bay Area becoming. And I talk to people about how they create community through food in the Bay and beyond. Welcome to the As Told By podcast. All right, y'all, we're here because this is an impromptu episode of the As Told By podcast. I did not know this was going to happen until we were at the reception for the media awards at James Beard, and I got introduced to the team at Caviar Dreams. And so, as a person who is not familiar with caviar, I'm like, we need to talk because I want to find out all the things. So I'm here with Kendra Anderson and Christine Lemieux of Caviar Dreams. Welcome to the As Told By podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. So look, a fluke meeting is about to turn into education for me and anybody else listening, because caviar is one of those things that, it just conjures up a very specific image. But what I feel like I'm about to learn is you are democratizing caviar.
That's right.
Right.
That was the plan.
Okay. All right. So let's start from the beginning. Where are y'all from?
I'm originally from New York and was kind of raised in Denver, where I went to college. Accidentally stayed there for a couple decades and moved to Chicago in 2022.
Okay. And how about you?
Yes, so I grew up on the coast of Maine, but I've lived all over the country at this point. I spent 10 years in D.C., moved to Denver where I met Kendra, and then made my way to San Diego before coming to Chicago 2 months ago for the business.
Okay. Crazy. So y'all have known each other for some time before this business started.
That's right. I keep dragging her along in my wild, half-baked ideas.
Well, it's fully baked now because this is the whole thing. Y'all are sitting here in beautiful visors with the company name. So this is now fully baked. So how did you go from friendship to let's get in business around caviar of all things?
Well, you'd have to go back several years. Yeah. I think this is year 8. now. If not, it's 8 years. So as Christine mentioned, she had some time in Denver before moving to San Diego. And in 2017, I opened a craft cocktail bar, and it was called Bar Helix. And we had about 100 wines by the glass, as well as a dedicated Negroni cocktail program. And it was kind of a fast start. I was my first place, crazy busy, and we were hiring staff. And so I think a friend of hers had come to work for me and mentioned to Christine that she thought she would like the place. I think you were a fan of Negronis or something?
Yeah, Lindsay and I have been drinking Negronis for a decade.
Right.
At that point.
So she came to join our team, and at Bar Helix, we had a role for people who were new to hospitality or honestly just new to the business. It was called the Flex Role. And so it was really meant to kind of be the Swiss Army knife, could do all the positions, just could take over if everything got too busy. And so we had her join there, and Christine likes to tell the story. Maybe you should tell the story.
Oh, so I'll pick right up.
Okay.
I actually was coming off a political campaign, and I hadn't worked in hospitality for probably 20 years, strictly hospitality, but I had been doing events programming in some of my roles in DC. And so I really dug the vibe of Bar Helix, thought it was just such a fun place to spend time and to work, and the craft cocktails were outstanding. And then I got to know Kendra, and I was like, oh, she's the best. Like, we're gonna be friends.
Oh no, you were gonna tell the story you like to tell.
Oh, okay. But Kendra didn't know that.
The part that makes me look shady.
So the part is she didn't talk to me for 3 months. And then
intentionally?
No.
Okay.
It's just that she was busy.
Okay.
And I, as she likes to say, I didn't need any guidance.
That's true.
So I just did the work, did the thing, and then it got to a point where she was like, "What's your deal?"
I heard her actually at a table. I actually remember this. So we had a pretty robust training program, and as we are now, I'm very focused on brand tone, brand voice, how you represent, how everything comes together for the guest. And so I had a spiel that I would do at tableside with our guests, and I was walking past her, and this is a woman again who is in this kind of beginnerish entry-level role. And she was delivering, I think it was one of our Negroni cocktails, and she was using the exact verbiage that I would use. And I was like, like word for word. And it sounded very convincing, and I knew she had only worked with us for a few months, and I was just like, who is this person? Like, she got my attention. And to be fair and clear, in the hospitality industry, people are in and out. It is a revolving door. So you don't get super invested in every person that comes to work for the team. It definitely wasn't personal. But I was very, very busy. So I caught her giving this spiel and sounding so convincing, and I saw the guests responding in this very positive way. And I was like, oh, okay, let me check her out. So yeah, I started to pay a little bit more attention. And then we started really expanding our events business. So having a lot of private parties, a lot of people wanting to book the space, political campaigns, wedding, reception, like all the things. And she had mentioned she had this events background. And so I said, why don't you come in my office? I remember that too.
I do too.
And so we had a little chat in my office, which was like the size
You
of
got
a
the private
coat
invitation.
closet. Yeah. And she sat down. We had a little milk crate that people could sit on. And I sat in the little chair. And so she told me the story of her master's degrees, all this travel and all this work in campaigns and events. And I was like, I'm going to give you a little, are you up for a task?
Business operations was really also key there.
So I asked her if she wanted to take on some more responsibility. She said yes. This was in maybe the spring of 2019.
Yes.
I think. And that's what happened. So she started really running our events business, booking things out. We were collaborating on parties. And I just really saw, I thought she had a lot of talent. And then a year later, the wheels came off.
How do we go from the wheels did come off,
wheels.
right? So I say this all the time. Y'all might be tired of hearing me saying it, but the number of people I sit down on this podcast and talk to who 2020 became that pivotal point where they either hit the gas on something that was already going, or they just lit a fire under an idea they had. So how did Negronis and a bar turn to Caviar?
Well, there's a restaurant and a consulting business in between. So you tell us how much you want to hear.
Oh, listen, lay it out. Lay it out for me. How do we go from the bar, and what were you consulting on?
Well, before the consulting was a restaurant. So when COVID started, as we've said, it was a craft cocktail bar, only about 1,400 square feet, no outdoor space to speak of. So we had to close down completely. Immediately started a to-go cocktail business, and I laid off my entire staff, the worst day of my life, except for Christine and our chef. And the mayor of Denver and the governor had said, okay, you can go with cocktails that can be served for takeaway. And so we quickly spun up a to-go cocktail program. So we bought batch bottles, we bought labels, and just started making cocktails in masks,
You had to pivot.
6 feet apart in our restaurant with a chef who was making a completely different food menu. I had a catering business for a number of years before I opened the restaurant. And I was like, let's go with comfort food. So we made jambalaya, we made macaroni and cheese, we made ribs. I had a smoker. We didn't have a full kitchen, so it was like this random
Limited
mix of food that we thought would be comforting in March of 2020. And immediately started that business. And we were basically the three of us. So many people stayed home during the pandemic, and good for them. We did not. I literally took no days off. I walked myself to work every single day, and we just had this cocktail business.
Wow.
So we did that until May, and then they were saying, you can come back with limited seating outdoor. And I was
25%.
Right. My space, as I said, had not very much outdoor space, but there was a space that was vacant just up the street, a large restaurant that had a giant patio. So I went to the landlord and I said, hey, what if I take over and do the lease and pay the rent on that space and use that outdoor space for my concept? And he was like, sure. They didn't have anybody paying rent. So he was pretty excited.
Yeah.
So I went to her and to, again, our chef, and I said, I think we should do a restaurant, a totally different concept that I knew I wanted, which was to take a vacation.
Yeah.
I was desperate to get out of town. No one could travel, of course. And so we basically spun up an entirely different restaurant in
6
4
weeks.
6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wrote the concept, wrote a menu,
Design, everything. And it was larger than Bar
twice
Helix.
the size.
Yeah.
So we went from what had been a 60-seat cocktail bar to 100 seats of outdoor dining, a full-service restaurant, again, with a full food menu, the same amount of drinks, like it was bananas.
And we changed the menu every month. That was
Changed the menu every
even
month
crazier.
to match the destinations.
Yeah.
So the restaurant was called Cabana X.
Okay.
and
Y'all
it
did a
was-
lot.
It was so
We're
fun.
never not
No, it
doing
was
a lot.
fun. It was really great. So we did that all summer
Okay.
and into the fall. And then when the weather changed again, they closed us back down. And honestly, I was just like, I
That's
gotta.
when the consultings.
We were
Because it was back
tapped
and
out.
forth for a while. You open, you close, mask, no mask, indoors, outdoors. It was a lot of going back and forth.
And honestly, the staff was not ready, did not want to come back or do the limited indoor, outdoor. I knew I was feeling like I was mentally broken from working nonstop in the pandemic. And then I was like, I just need a break. So we just decided to kind of pull the plug on the restaurants, both of them, unfortunately, at that point. And that's when the consulting, because we were like, well, I was like, I got to eat. And someone had come to me and asked me to do consulting on a project that they were starting to develop. And in that moment, she was standing next to me. I was talking to this guy, and he was like, well, when can you start? And blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, yeah, I'll do this, but it's her and I together. And I had never said anything to her about it. I just looked at her and I was like, don't say anything. Just say yes.
Yeah. Just
And
went
so
down like that.
that's what
Go with the
happened.
flow.
So that's when the hospitality consulting started.
Okay. All right.
So 2021.
So then.
So then.
To Caviar.
To Caviar.
Yeah, so we did that for about a year. And by the beginning of 2022, I knew I was done in Denver. I really wanted to leave. Had decided to move to one of 4 different cities. Chicago happened to be first. I was going to spend the summer like checking out all the different cities to see which one I really wanted to be in. And I got to Chicago actually 3 years ago this week. I was walking down Michigan Avenue, literally across the street at Grant Park, and I was taking photos, and I was like, oh no, this is it.
I heard a summer in Chicago is all the things. So it's your shy-versary.
It is my shy-versary, and I could not be happier. The best decision I've made in a very long time. And so, yeah, we were consulting. She moved to San Diego. I lived here, and we were doing consulting work with various clients in various different parts of the country.
Okay.
Just minding our business until 2023.
Until you had that moment.
So that's now we're at
This is the
Caviar.
moment.
Finally.
Y'all are waiting for right now. The Caviar story.
Okay, so what we didn't say is that at the restaurant, both restaurants, we had caviar. Before I had the restaurants, I was always offering caviar. I used to produce events for Aspen Food and Wine.
Okay.
And I worked in the wine business. I was a sommelier, and I was doing pop-ups around the city ahead of opening the first place, Bar Helix. And so in 2013, I went to Aspen Food and Wine, went to a party, an industry party, as they have, just like here at in Chicago for Beard. There's all these pop-ups and parties all weekend. And I walked into a party with a friend, was walking around. It was at Matsuhisa in Aspen. I'm just like rolling around. I'm all starstruck. And someone walked in, a man walked in with a giant tin of caviar. I think it was probably 1 kilo. It was huge. And I'd had caviar before, but never seen it like that. And he was walking around the room handing out caviar bumps.
Okay.
Again, the first time I'd ever seen that.
And for people who don't know, tell them what a caviar bomb is.
Yeah, a bump is when you take a small amount of caviar off of the back of a spoon and just kind of drop it onto your hand, on your fist, and then you just hold it up to your mouth, lick it off the back, and just let the caviar melt in your mouth.
Okay. I had one of those last night. It was very good.
Isn't it?
Yes.
It's the best and purest way to really experience the caviar, and it really originated in the caviar industry. It is the way you would go and when you were sampling caviar to decide, which purveyor you wanted to ultimately, buy caviar from, that's how you would sample it.
Okay.
So it's a very kind of like industry, inner circle kind of situation. It was never the way the public would consume caviar ever.
Okay.
That's new.
Now, let me ask both of you, and Christine, I'll start with you. What was your exposure to caviar before being in the business? Was this something you were a fan of at restaurants? Did you grow up in a caviar home? What was your exposure point?
This is good. I grew up on the coast of Maine and ate more seafood than you could probably think of as a child. Never had caviar, but I stopped eating seafood by the age of like 13, 12. I just did not.
Had enough.
I've had enough. I didn't want any more. And so, yeah, for years, I was like, I'm good. And then
By years, she means decades.
By decades. So then when I go to work at Bar Helix, I remember we'd be tasting like caviar. Kendra would be like, oh, let's just have caviar with chips. And I would pretend to eat it. So then I was like, oh, I'm good. No,
I'm
it's...
thinking she's had it, right?
And she for sure.
Caviar to our guests.
You're doing a caviar fake out?
I was like, it's amazing. Yeah. And then...
She was an actress in another life.
Last year, after Kendra asked me to be part of the business, she put the fear of God in me and was like, if you don't try this caviar, today. We were at
business.
our first event in New York City. She's like, you have to try this right
I was
now.
like, are you joking?
That was
me?
my exposure to caviar. To answer
Yeah,
it.
I was like, we're not about here.
So I had it, and I was like, that's really good.
This is good. And in line.
I should have trusted you sooner.
as is the motto of our entire relationship. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. I want to be on record that you should just trust me. Just trust me.
And now what about you, Kendra?
Mine was just through the industry.
Okay.
So for sure, I had it not growing up, but in working in restaurants. I mean, my first job was in a restaurant when I was 16. Not a restaurant with caviar; it was Denny's. But we
Come on,
moved
Denny's.
on. I know it was good, wasn't
Yes,
it?
I came
Let
from
me get
Red
that
Lobster
Grand
myself.
Slam.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Let me get a Grand Slam right now, any day. But I ended up working in really high-end restaurants in college, and that's where I first had caviar for sure. And then in the wine industry, at different festivals, at parties, at events, it's ubiquitous, right? It was everywhere. And so I was very comfortable with caviar, and I loved it. But what I didn't mention at Bar Helix was that just like today with Caviar Dream, people were nervous about caviar. And so that experience I had in Aspen where I first had a bump, that stuck in my mind. So when I opened Bar Helix in 2016, I put a caviar bump on my first menu. And I had never seen that before for sale. As I said, it was only ever something I'd seen at a party in the industry. No one had ever charged money for a bump that I knew of. But I was like, oh, I want people to be able to try this.
Yeah, or if caviar was on the menu, it was like a full service, hundreds of dollars.
Correct. And I was like, this bar is meant to be welcoming for everyone. We had nice things and we had more inexpensive things. Our whole vibe, always and forever, has been high-low.
Okay.
So I wanted to have there be caviar, but I wanted it to be approachable caviar. So for $25 on the menu in 2016 was a little 2-gram bump of caviar and a 2-ounce pour of a super premium champagne, so that people could try it without making that humongous financial commitment, and make sure that, again, someone could come in on a budget and still have a little bit of luxury. So that was my first foray into selling caviar to the public, and that was 9 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting about this, when you say doing high-low, and I think it's such a smart way to do it, is because caviar is a bit of a polarizing ingredient, right? Or just a polarizing thing to eat. You know, it's very briny. It's very, seafood, fishy forward. So people might, it's very salty, right? So people might think, oh, I don't like this. I initially thought that. I think my first exposure to caviar was probably maybe 5 years ago. And it was very popular in the Bay Area. There was a period of time where it was showing up on a lot of pop-up dinner menus. So that was my first exposure. But even up to just recently, like 2 weeks ago, someone I know came and visited the Bay, and we were in the Ferry Building in San Francisco. And there was an outlet there. Store in there. Yes. Yep. And we sat and had some, and they came and let us try a few. And that's how I came to learn that smoked trout is my caviar of choice.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
Smoked trout girly.
Yes, I loved
It's
it.
pretty good.
Yeah. How do you introduce it to people who may never have had it and think that they don't like it?
I have so many things to say.
Yeah, this is where we get into it.
It is. And so when we started, to even get to how I decided to start Caviar Dream, it has to be told that I wasn't planning to start a caviar business. So we had the consulting business. I'm living in Chicago, and I'm just minding my business, my other business, not a caviar business, living my best life. I am now, though, a consumer, not a wholesaler, or I should say a wholesale customer. So I was buying caviar through my restaurants. So when I wanted to eat caviar, that's how I got it. I never had to go to the store or find it in any way. I just called my seafood guy and I got caviar. I had relationships with a lot of the caviar producers because that's what I sold in the restaurants. So I had never had to solve the problem of finding caviar for my personal consumption.
Okay.
So I'm looking for caviar and I'm like, where can I get caviar in Chicago? And I found some in a couple of specialty markets, but I actually started wondering if there was a Black-owned caviar that I could purchase. So I'm on Google and I'm just, you Google anything, Black-owned caviar, and the only one I found was not available for shipping. It was like a local woman. She had caviar. It was like her event business. And I was like, interesting. And I'm thinking, you ever think Google is broken? You're like, this can't be right.
Let me search again.
It's 2023. It was like the spring of 2023. I'm like, huh? So I'm really looking and I'm digging further. And for real, there just was not a single caviar business that was Black owned that was going to be able to ship caviar to my door. There's plenty of others, but not Black owned. So I just like marinate on this for a minute. I'm just thinking. And I kind of let it go. And then I'm on vacation later that year, that same year. It was like Christmas vacation. I'm in Mexico. And I'm like, this thing is like ruminating in the back of my mind, this caviar thing. And I'm like, why not? That can't be right. I just don't believe it. So I Googled it again. Once again, no results. So I'm looking at I'm just like, can I? And I just started. So that's where I'm like, maybe I can do it, because I'm thinking I have some friendships. I know some people in the industry. I start doing research of what it would take to, like, how could one private label a caviar line, because we do this in the wine business. It happens in consumer packaged goods, any celebrity branded, anything you've ever seen, and even some that are just not celebrities, but lines of products. They're not the purveyor, and the primary purveyor. It's not their item. They find it from somewhere else and then they put their label on it. So I'm like, I'll start there. Like, let me see where I can go with this. So I'm looking into all of this, and that's ultimately what led us there. But I say that to say that the reason I started to be surprised was that as I started researching where I could find representation of Black people enjoying caviar, so I'm starting to think ahead to like my website and how I'm going to post anything on Instagram. I'm just looking for some content. There were no images even of any people of color on Google. And I had KJ Google this a month ago, because he was looking at me like, that can't be right. And he was like, oh, you're right. There's some TikTok, there's some Instagram, but there's no like brand images, no media, there's nothing. And so all of that is to say, when we talk to people, why are they nervous? The reason why people are nervous to try caviar and have these preconceived notions, especially when I'm speaking mainly about people of color, is because we've never had any conversations about caviar with us. There's never been a brand who's made an effort to make the packaging relatable, or to make the verbiage or the brand narrative something that's spoken in a language that's more accessible or casual. So we have to start there. We start there before we even get into what are your concerns about. People won't even, I've had people literally run away from me holding a tray of free caviar, just going like, my stomach. Like, it's a lot. So we have to really unpack that in a careful, thoughtful way before we start grilling them about what's their caviar flavor profile, which we do. But it's like a psychological thing that we actually work hard to dismantle and make people feel really comfortable about even opening up, because people don't even want to admit that they have a fear or a feeling about caviar, and that's something much deeper.
Well, and then people will share that, like, oh, it's not for me because, and then followed by all the reasons we know that caviar is exclusive and been gate kept.
Right.
And it's just like where we were with wine maybe 20 years ago. People have maybe not had the exposure. They don't have the experience. They don't know what they like. And also, which you all, I've heard, do a very good job of, they don't know how to pair it, because it's paired for them with things that are not part of their traditional day-to-day diet.
100%.
And they don't know how or where it would fit in the foods they like or that are culturally related to them. I felt like I saw somebody with caviar on a Dorito.
That's us,
That
too.
was you.
Yeah,
And I was just like, oh, that's what we're doing?
That is what we're doing.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's the one part of it. And when we talk about a gate kept product, which is what we call this very like plainly, it is because you have to really think through to even be able to enjoy caviar. It's 127 roadblocks to get you there, right? You have to know where to find it, which most people don't. Then you have to know, oh, there's actually some equipment that I need. You need a key to open the tin. Then you need a spoon.
And you need to know how to open the tin with the key.
Nobody knows
I didn't
how to
even know
open.
there was a key. I would be the fool at home with the butter knife trying to get it to open.
And a butter knife will
You
work.
could do that.
Okay.
Don't misunderstand.
But
there's like this whole, it has to be stored properly. There is a way to serve it, as you said. There's traditional ways, there's fun ways too, but there's a whole like college education between I think I want to have some caviar and I'm actually having caviar.
Okay.
So we have to help people get there too. So it's it's so much more than tins of caviar from the website for us. It's like a whole narrative around why you deserve this and how we can make it easy for you to treat yourself as you deserve to be treated.
The experience.
That's right.
Okay.
It is an
All right. So now when
experience.
people come to Caviar Dreams, they come
It's
and
Caviar Dream.
Caviar
Just
Dream,
dream.
singular.
Yes, I had a dream.
Yes.
It
That
was
I
her
would
have a
have your
caviar
dream.
business. And here we are.
There we go. Okay. When people come to Caviar Dream, what do they purchase? Do they purchase a package? Do they purchase to come somewhere and have an experience? I know there's an option where you all come to them and can deliver an experience. What are the options people have?
Those are all of the
Correct
above.
answers. Okay. One of those is the
We
way.
offer everything you
Yeah.
just mentioned.
Isn't it funny? Tell about how, so the original idea was, and it's so funny because Christine is angry. I'm sure still to this day. I'm like, it's going to be an e-commerce business. So we don't have to work that hard. We're going to create this website. We're going to put the caviar tins on the website, and we're going to make money while we sleep. And that does happen, and we are grateful for that.
We wake up and we say, ka-ching!
Amen to the sleeping money.
Every time we get an order, we get like a little notification, and we text each other, ka-ching!
Yes.
So that is definitely the business. However, immediately, I feel like, I don't remember when we had this conversation, I was like, I want this business to have the same energy as a hospitality business, because that's what I do. And that's what we did together in the bar that I opened and the restaurant that we opened together. We led with a hospitality mindset.
Approach.
The caviar brands that are out there are leading with a packaged good to you mindset. So when you ask that question, we have to step back and say, from the beginning, we are more so thinking about what you said a minute ago, your experience, rather than the transaction of getting you to buy this tin. We want to see you positioning yourself in a scenario where you are living your best life in any kind of way that takes you from breakfast to dessert, for real. And it's parties, it's celebrations, it's kicking it with your friends, it's watching TV on the couch. We need to make sure that you have good visibility into yourself having those moments. So that's what we sell, if you will. I don't even think we're selling it. I feel like we're just demonstrating it.
the culture of it.
You just get to be
is.
like, oh yeah, I can do that.
It's
Why
the
not?
culture of it. Yeah. We actually, caviar culture. And to add on to that a bit, I'm coming back to, you mentioned smoked trout roe. The way, if you're on our website, you'll see it's sectioned out and it says every day, and it's a bagel with smoked trout roe, because in the morning, that's what you can have for breakfast.
Okay.
Get your day started right.
Okay.
Yeah, people think that caviar, and that's the other, there's so much dismantling that goes on for us in our business, is that very few other businesses or brands, I think, have so many this is the way it is, right? You don't come to something and just have this one-dimensional view. It's so fascinating, and I worked in the wine business for about 15 years, and I saw this sometimes with rosé, when rosé was not as popular in the early 2000s, right? People would be like, oh, you only drink rosé in the summer. Men would be like, I definitely don't drink rosé. So there was these little thoughts that people had that they swore were facts. And I'm like, these are not actually facts. These are just your thoughts. That doesn't make them real. And caviar is very much that way. People associate caviar with Christmas time or
Oh, really?
New Year's Eve.
New Year's celebration.
New Year's Eve, yeah.
And that's not wrong.
No, it's definitely right.
Yeah, it's definitely right, but
It's
it's
also
not.
just food.
Yeah.
It's for Wednesday.
It's for
and I just
any
got
day
off work.
that ends in
Yes.
Y, and
Yes, you
are
need a pick me
hungry.
up on Wednesday.
Yes.
It's your caviar
I need a
after work
pick-me-up
party.
every minute of the day. But for real, so we have to really give people permission to see that this is not the special thing that you have heard it is, or that you've imagined it to be, particularly if you are a person of color, where it wasn't probably something that you would have seen on your family breakfast table. Speaking of having caviar for breakfast, we understand that sounds crazy and privileged, but at the same time, it's accurate and accessible. It doesn't have to be a baller level spread of a kilo of caviar, the finest, Savruga. It doesn't have to be that.
Yeah.
Caviar comes in levels, and there's levels to this game.
Yes.
And as you said, the smoked trout roe is roe. It's not caviar, but it's in the family. So start there.
Yeah.
And that is $30. You can have
You
this.
can start
do
there.
this. That's
Yeah.
right.
And there's also, I'm finding, just the variety of what the eating experience is. The salmon roe maybe is a little bit more oily or has a little bit more fat to it. The pearls are a little bit bigger. So me, as a girl who's a fan of a boba, I almost have
That
a boba
is what I
experience
always
when
say.
you bite and you get that briny pop of flavor. So
We should talk about the quiz
We will.
and how you said, how do we help people understand.
Oh, there's a quiz.
Oh, we got a quiz.
Okay,
Quiz.
so to help people find their caviar
That's right.
personality.
Because that's what
Yeah.
makes it hard. And I get it. Like, by the way, when we sit here talking about this, it's not coming from a place of not understanding why people have the questions and the hesitance. It's just that we're just trying to make it so playful that we're just like, don't worry about it. We got you.
We got it.
But the quiz is helpful. It's really changed people's, I think, mindsets.
Yeah, and we actually used it at the Black Women in Food Summit back in DC, and it was a big hit because, again, a lot of people have never had
Where
it.
was I when that was happening? I didn't see a caviar there.
Oh, it was at the welcome reception, right?
The
first
yeah,
night?
it's a welcome
at the marketplace.
reception.
No, the night
Nope.
before.
Okay.
There was, I think it was for speakers.
Maybe.
Got it.
And
Okay. Got
yes. So we have a little quiz, and it's just 3 questions. And people think, they get nervous, they're going to fail. It's like, no, this is about understanding what your palate it wants and likes. And one of the questions we were serving smoked trout roe on a bite, and one of the questions to guide us to know if that person would like it is, do you like the pop of a pomegranate seed? Because
Believe
if
it or
you
not,
like that pop,
Lots of people don't.
yeah.
They don't want that.
They don't want that texture.
Okay.
Yeah. But that if they say yes, they're a smoked trout roe person.
Or boba.
Okay.
Or
So it's
boba.
similar.
Yep.
So you are exactly on target with you describing
right,
why
y'all.
you liked it.
Yes.
Because you were like, I
like
like
boba.
Other people, no. What was the woman she said she didn't like? She didn't like things touching.
No. There's been a lot
We've
of
heard a
things.
lot. Okay. You can think of it. We have heard it as a reason
Heard it
people
all.
did not want to try the caviar, but one of them is texture.
Okay.
The next, and I was going to say, you want to do the other questions?
Oh, no. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you like an East Coast oyster or a West Coast oyster?
Key question.
That pushes you in one direction or the other on caviar.
Right. Not to say that caviar tastes like oysters. It doesn't.
Right.
Okay.
But when you think of East Coast versus West Coast oysters, what does that say to you just in your mind?
Well, when I was living on the East Coast, I was not in an oyster lifestyle, but I definitely have had many a Tamales Bay now that I live in the Bay Area. So I don't really have a comparator, right?
Okay.
But I like a good West Coast oyster.
Right.
Yeah.
So stylistically, most people would agree a West Coast oyster is a milder flavor.
Okay.
They tend to be less briny, and just they're smaller in size. So people, I think, who are a little bit more intimidated by an oyster, to my understanding, they gravitate toward a West Coast. Where an East Coast oyster, they're more robust, they're larger, and they definitely have a more pronounced kind of oyster flavor, like the big oyster flavor. So people are kind of one team or the other usually.
Okay.
Caviar has that same delineation in terms of the styles. Not that they taste like those two flavor profiles, but you could think about caviar as saying that there are some varieties that have a milder flavor, a little bit gentler, a little bit more creamy, and we'd say, okay, if you're a little nervous and the bigger flavor is not your jam, we would direct you toward those types of caviar.
Okay.
Versus if you said, no, I'm a big fan of the East Coast oyster, then we would say, cool, then we think you're going to like these big, bold, really intense flavored caviar varieties. So that's the way we use that kind of little trick to.
Yeah.
Got it.
And now this makes me want to circle back to the question at the beginning about me and my own hesitancy and just how we feel sometimes when we talk about it, how I am kind of like just along for the ride like everyone else when it comes to understanding caviar and the journey, because I myself didn't try it till recently. So very close to a consumer who also just tried it. And I like to say when they're nervous, like, you can try the caviar. I started the whole company without trying it. So you
Give it a go.
Give it a chance.
Give it a
And
go.
I like to say this, and I'm proud about it. I feel like I am essentially undefeated in taking people from absolutely not to
Walking
how can
away
I
with a
get
10.
how many can I buy today?
Okay.
Because it really is just about creating that sense of comfort, and just making people feel like it's okay. You're gonna be okay. You're not gonna die, and not only are you not gonna die, I bet you're gonna love
You're
it.
gonna love it. Just
You're gonna
get
love
walked
it.
in.
Right. You just need to try it on the right thing, too. That's the other thing. When I was a somm, I used to ask people about how they like their coffee, right? So you can tell a lot. If somebody says they like coffee black, or if they say, I need a triple caramel macchiato, extra vanilla, that tells me a lot about how I should guide you
Good
in terms
comparison.
of
Yes.
wine. I do that same thing with caviar. And so you just need to let me know a little bit about what you like to eat, and I got you. I will figure out a bite that you will like with caviar. And I really don't say that with, like, I'm not joking. Like, I literally feel like I've never had somebody be like, no, you were wrong, I hate it.
Yeah, I mean, it's your som background. It's also your chef background. Like, he's deep.
Well, I did go to culinary school, but it's about flavor. It's about taste and flavor. And it's just, you just have to ask a few questions, and people just have to kind of relax a little. It's amazing that people do get nervous, and I'm like, you know what they call caviar in Eastern Europe? What? Breakfast.
Oh, well, there it is. I mean, and it, for me personally, I love the adventurousness of food. So these are the exact kinds of experiences I'm looking to have. So if you're hearing this and you don't know much about caviar, or you think you know something about it that is not favorable in your mind, I really encourage you to get back into the adventure of food. I don't even really like to look at reviews. I rarely pull up a menu before I go to the restaurant, because like, I want to come and have the experience in real time. Yeah. And it's the same with this. And I would imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, that people can go online and kind of maybe see like a starter kit, or, a variety pack, if you will, something where they can kind of get some entry point familiarity before they go in maybe for a bigger investment.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we offer 1/2 ounce tin sizes. So that is like the smallest you can get. So if you're unsure, we offer that, and we offer in a few varieties. So like a bundle with the crackers and creme fraiche, so you can have that whole starter experience.
Oh, we have a whole pack up. Okay.
Party kits.
We do. That's the thing, and we keep talking about this, and not to be repetitive, but like, you've got to create the scenario. You got to set the scene. It's like taking yourself on a date. Yeah. You could have girls' night in. You could have solo, dolo, caviar love. I had somebody the other night say she was about to take a bath and have her little caviar set up in the bath. I was like, go ahead, girl. I love that. Because it really is the experience. There is something really fun and special about having your key and your spoon and your little ice and your little creme fraiche, your little snacks, and you just make your little perfect bites. It is so fun. And I feel I see their faces change when they start having these cute little moments, and they forget about how intimidated they were.
Okay. So as you're saying this, Kendra, like, I am projecting in my mind the moment I'm going to have once I get mine, because I will be getting mine. And I have a patio. There are trees. My patio is like completely covered by trees, and I'm going to put the chairs together like I often do, so that one chair acts as an ottoman. So I have my feet up, and I'm going to have my caviar on my patio. I can already see it in my mind's eye. I'm doing it.
Where was I recently? And I don't even remember. I think it was a charcuterie board. And I just was like, oh, I have some leftover caviar. And I just threw that right on there. And they were looking like, oh, how does that go? And I'm like, because it goes. It's all just snacks.
Yes.
We're just having snacks. It's no big deal. It's so much fun. And for me, the cheddar and sour cream ruffles, that is my happy place.
Okay.
And if I've got that and my little paddlefish, or maybe my Osetra, I'm just going to chill out. I might be drinking a glass of water. I might be drinking a beer. I might be drinking a glass of champagne. It's not about the formality. It doesn't have to be this whole over the top.
I was just going to say, we have vegan caviar, and the vegan caviar snack. I'm gluten free.
You got unhinged that day.
I have my buckwheat crackers, a little bit of sour cream, and the vegan caviar and mineral water. I was like, a whole meal.
Yeah, I came back, and she was like, oh, that's what I had for lunch today. I was like, good for you. It's a whole meal. It's actually healthy for you, too.
Yeah.
Yes,
lots of health benefits.
And a lot of probably like omega-3, right?
Trace minerals.
Love it.
Yes, high in protein.
It's very low calorie, if that's important
to you. It's like a supplement. It's a whole food supplement.
I would just consider caviar to be a vitamin.
Yeah. Go have a healthy adventure, y'all. I have loved learning so much. I feel informed. I hope the listenership feels informed. Shout out to Clay Williams, who said to me during the reception yesterday, it was like, hey, do you know Kendra? Yeah, you need to meet. You can talk to her about caviar. So Clay, that's what's up. Thank you for hooking us up together. Tell people where they can find out more about Caviar Dream.
So online for purchase, www.caviardream.co, and then at Caviar Dream Official on Instagram, and TikTok shop very soon.
That's right. everything that you need is there, including videos about how to do some of the things that we talked about, opening the tin, serving, scenarios, recipes, all the things. You can find that. So no need to be nervous. We got you.
Okay. I'm definitely going to send y'all a video when I get mine.
Yes.
Please do.
My
We
opening
love getting the
experience.
videos.
Yes, we get tagged in a lot of people's
And we
"Here's what I
love
did,"
it.
and it makes us so happy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This has been
Thank
amazing.
you.
Yes. Thank you so much for talking with me. If you all want to keep up with me in between episodes, you can find me at kayinthebay.com or on Instagram at heykayinthebay. I'm still here in Chicago. Who knows who else I might be popping up on while I'm here. But, of course, I will bring y'all along for the ride, and I will see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.